Hi all. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good day, wherever you are, our dear, dear, dear KMers worldwide, our wonderful community. I will let Vincent introduce our guest today. But as you see, even though we're speaking about knowledge creation, we're all the time mixing knowledge creation and innovation. So probably they are mixed, but it's a good idea looking at it from different angles, from different perspectives, and every week learning on an additional perspective. So that's something to keep in mind before we start our session today. One more thing is, I want to remind you, next week we have Dave Snowden with us. So it will be an unexpected session, but I promise you one thing, it will be interesting. So Vincent, please, you are my teammate here to the course management, and you are in charge of many of our wonderful guests. So please take the lead and introduce our guest for today.
Thank you very much, Moria. Well, I could have asked by saying, who knows Yves Pigneur? But in this case, I should say, who doesn't know Yves Pigneur, right? I mean, who doesn't know about the business model Canva? I think all of us have heard about the business model Canva. And if you know a bit about the story, and Yves, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but Yves was the supervisor of Alex Osterwalder dissertation, and the dissertation of Alex was about building this business model Canva that we are now all using and that we have seen again and again. And every time you're looking for something nowadays, you look for a Canva version of it. It can be about learning, it can be about anything. So of course, this has inspired a lot of people worldwide, and maybe you can tell us a bit more how many books were sold, Yves, about, I mean, this initial core book, but there has been many books later on that you publish with Alex and the team, I guess. So yeah, so we are very honored and very thankful that you accepted to be with us today. We know how busy you are and how in high demand you are also. And so you are also a professor of management information system at the University of Lausanne in Switzerland. That's part, I guess, of your work, but I'm sure you do a lot of consulting, and we can see already on your background a lot of work in progress, or maybe that come out of your book. But I will just give the floor to you, Yves,
okay.
And we are all looking forward to listen to you today. Thank you again for
Thank
being
you.
with us.
Okay, so thank you again for your kind invitation, and I will try to present you some idea related to this idea of innovation in existing corporation. We started to work with Alex 25 years ago, and we still work together. We live in the same street, and so it's quite easy for us to meet every week or every 2 other weeks. And the idea today is, before to explain what I will do, let me first visit the startup journey. Entrepreneurs have ideas, they search for the right business model. When they find it, they try to grow, scale up, or just survive. It's a messy process, especially at the beginning, with a lot of back and forth. It's a design process. That's the reason why we were convinced with Alex that creating or reinventing new business model requires an architect mindset. Why? Architects use plan, and the plans are, in a way, common notation to be understood as he or she wanted to be by the construction company, a common language. Second, the architects developed mock-ups, simulation, prototypes, and using those artifacts, they try to collect the feedback from the future owner or future inhabitants of the house. And we wanted to do the same with a common language, with the canvases, some design thinking techniques for creating value proposition and a business model, and but also testing and developing testing techniques for testing business models before to launch and before to go further. So far, so good. So we developed different tools The first one was the business model canvas. The second one was the value proposition. And recently, or more recently, we created some tools dedicated for existing company. Or they can use the canvases, the design technique, the testing techniques for an existing companies, not only for startups. And those tools became popular. This survey 2 years ago in 2023 by Teach Entrepreneurship, they have seen that 88% of incubators, accelerators in the world teach a business model Canva, and much less teach the business plan, the very whole tool of entrepreneurship long time ago. But this tool, or those tools, those canvases, have been also adopted by existing companies. Here you have some Strategizer's customers. Strategizer is the company that Alex created for helping existing companies to innovate. But for those existing companies, the game is completely different, because first, they exploit some business models, bringing money inside the company. But it could be maybe interesting to explore business ideas, new business models, maybe just for replacing some declining business model in the exploit world. And so a company need to do both. In the exploit, they have to improve existing business model. In the explore world, they have to invent. And so the challenge for them is to become ambidextrous. Okay, exploring the future, but in excelling at exploiting the present. And we call the company which are very good ambidextrous companies, we call them invincible companies. It's a buzzword. But 3 characteristics for us: they constantly reinvent themselves. Second, they compete on superior business models, not only on product and technology. And third, they are able to transcend industry boundaries, means going outside the traditional sector of activity. We could have called those companies not invincible, but at least resilient. And one nice example is Fujifilm. You remember Fujifilm was number 2 on this market of film making and film development. Kodak was the first one. They invented the digital camera, but they were not able to create business models to be able to survive, and so they almost disappeared. And during the same period, Fujifilm created Astalift.
その先10年、7年、8年、10年、このぐらいどうなるかって言ったら、もうどんどんもうないだろう。で、これ大変なことだと。で、どうするか。
Cut cost.
それから全く新しいことは、うちが持っている技術で何ができるだろう。
It is a rather striking realization that the same chemicals, same processes that help prevent fading of colors in photography also apply to skin and helps prevent skin from sagging and fading.
Okay, so based on this first business model that they have decided to explore, using 20,000 chemical products not applied for photography, but no applied to skin and so on. So based on this one, they completely changed their portfolio, going in healthcare, materials, document, and imaging and photography only represent 10% so far. So the agenda for today is, first, I will focus again on dual mindset, explore, exploit. Second, I will consider what does it mean to go from business ideas to results and to new business model or renovated business model. And finally, how to develop an innovation culture. And I will just go for a quick reminder because I don't know, we have no 54 people in front of me. I don't know what's your previous knowledge on the business model canvas, even if Vincent told that everybody knows it. So let me visit the first tool we developed, which is the business model canvas, 9 blocks for describing the business model of a company, telling the story of this business. So first, the block in the middle is the value proposition. In the case of Hilti, which is a Swiss company here, they provide their customer with high-quality tools. The customer segment they decided to target is the builders, the construction companies. And the way of reaching those customers is, in their case, the sales force with representatives, Hilti stores, third-party resellers. The customer relationship is the nature of the relationship you would like to maintain with your customers. For Hilti, it's a direct one-to-one. What does it mean? They try to keep the same representative in front of the same customers. And the revenue stream is the way of creating value for the company, making money. In this case, for Hilti, is transactional sales of tools. This is the front stage. Backstage, you have some key resources. What you have? You could have physical resources, such as factories, or intangible ones, such as patents. When you have something, you can do something. And so activity for Hilti, the main activity is manufacturing and selling distributing tools. They could have some strategic partnership with partners, such as subcontractors, OEM, and so on. And all those 3 blocks here on the left-hand side, okay, they have a cost. We are not interested in by the cost detail, but just by the cost structure. That's it. And we can observe that they change and they have created a second business model, which was renting tools to some construction companies. The channel was different. The revenue stream was different, with a recurring revenue. They changed it 10 years ago with a strong success. You can use also some drawings if you don't like to use Post-its. My question for you is, which statement reflects your experience with innovation tools most accurately? You are a beginner, you already use it, you are expert, or maybe you teach it. And I think Moria prepared this questions with using a Zoom poll. Moria, you can launch it, or? Moria, no, not possible, or?
I had it a few minutes ago. Here we go.
Okay, thank you.
Poll number 1,
Poll number 1, yeah.
no. Poll number 1.
Yeah,
Again.
number 3, yeah, back.
No, let's go back. I'm sorry.
No problem.
Poll number 1. Let's launch it. Yes. No, it won't
No.
work. Just a minute. It's only, I have to close number 3. End poll, and then I will launch number 1 again. Sorry.
Okay, number 1. Good, thank you. Okay, you can show maybe the result to everybody.
Okay, so I'll end the poll. Should I end it?
Yeah, and
And
okay,
now
thank
let's
you.
share the results.
So we have beginners, and we have people having used it, and 1 expert and 4 teachers in the room. Okay, nice to know. We will practice a little bit later. And please, before I will go further, thank you. Oops. Yeah, okay. Please have a pen ready and paper ready, because during the session, I will ask you to draw, to write something. Ready? Okay, so first, the first section, the dual mindset. You remember we have a business idea and business model we exploit, and we have business model or business idea that we can exploit. Based on this one, a couple of years ago with Alex, we designed a new tool called the portfolio map with a dual logic. The first, the portfolio of all the business model you exploit. The second part with the business model, with all the business model you explore. with two different logic. In this case, planning is possible. You try to improve existing business model. For the Explore portfolio, testing is required. I will come back on this issue, but first a short video.
Starts with an idea. Even the largest companies were once startups searching for a business model. When startups find their model, they scale and transform into a mature company. They shift from an entrepreneurial mindset to a managerial mindset. We call these two fundamentally different worlds explore and exploit. Companies must manage both at the same time, a portfolio of existing businesses and a portfolio of new opportunities. The exploit portfolio helps you manage what you have by looking at the return on the one hand and the death and disruption risk on the other. Here you scale emerging business models, renovate declining ones, or make successful ones more resilient. You bolster your exploit portfolio with the following portfolio actions. Bring in outside business models through acquisitions, mergers, partnerships, or investments. Improve existing business models, shifting them from outdated to superior models. Remove business models that don't fit your strategy through divestitures or by dismantling them altogether. Yet, managing what you have is not enough in times of disruption. Even the best business models expire like a yogurt in the fridge. Avoid obsolescence and proactively develop and explore a portfolio of bold initiatives. Your search for growth engines requires two main activities. Increase the expected return by designing better business models. Reduce the innovation risk through rigorous testing. Adapt ideas based on evidence from the field until a value proposition and business model emerge. You manage your Explore portfolio with the following portfolio actions. Ideate and test your own business model and value proposition ideas, or invest in outside ventures, or do both. Once you start testing ideas with experiments, the evidence will suggest the path. Persevere and gather stronger evidence. Pivot and adapt the idea a little or a lot. Retire it entirely because the evidence indicates it won't work. To scale a tested and de-risked idea, transfer it to your exploit portfolio or spin it out if it doesn't fit your strategy. When in exploration, know that you can't pick the winner. Early on, good and bad ideas are indistinguishable. The only way to truly identify the winners is by investing small amounts of money in a large number of projects. Retire ideas that can't produce evidence and invest in those showing traction. Want a larger return? You'll need more projects in your innovation funnel. Use the portfolio map to visualize, analyze, and manage your portfolio of existing and new businesses.
Okay, so I will illustrate it with Ping An, which is an insurance company in China. This company has been created by Peter Ma 30 years ago, and it's a traditional insurance company with life insurance, casualty insurance, banking, asset management in their exploit portfolio. In 2013, they recruited Jessica Tan as the Chief Information Officer in charge.
10 years ago, we started the journey where we, from a financial services company, we want to say, a financial services and tech or ecosystem company, whereby we can better provide these to others, right? And the way we do this is the following. So our lifestyle services ranges from 4 areas, what we call fintech areas. So these are wealth management, lending, other purposes, to healthcare, automobile, and then what we call smart city, which involves a variety.
Okay, so initially she came in the company to involve and to investigate different information technologies such as biometrics, big data, AI, blockchain, cloud. But first, to improve existing business model, boost efficiency, cutting costs, improving experience, strengthening risk management. But also, a couple of years afterwards, roughly 10 years ago, to create new business model, to create what she called an ecosystem in fintech, healthcare, automobile, and smart city. And one of them is in fintech. And they took 10% of their profit every year for creating this growth engine. And in fintech, they created OneConnect.
I'll give OneConnect I'm actually in our One Connect Singapore office right now. One Connect we started 6 years ago, 6.5 years ago, as a fintech company. It was originally serving all our own financial services customers, our own companies as a competitive advantage. When we first created One Connect, it was with the view, look, we're just one player within the vast China market. I mean, we're one bank out of, I know, thousands of banks. We're only 3% market share, in the bank. Of course, we're 20% in insurance. There's a larger market, and then if you do well, technology is exportable. Right?
Okay, so
it transcends language. I can actually do it outside of China.
So they decided to create a new business model for offering software as a service to other financial institutions, if you want. And so my question to you is, how would you map out One Connect's business model? But I will help you. So in front of you on the screen, you have the 9 blocks. One of them is the key resources, where you can see that they have developed some proprietary financial technologies, and they have talented engineers to be able to offer this software as a service. Here on the left-hand side, you have some sticky notes, different ones, 7-1, and I will ask you to put the right sticky notes at the right place. So it's not possible for you to put that physically on the screen. So my question is, write down the full sequence of the 7 letters matching the numbers in the chat window. So it means you have the chat window, you will type 7 letters where you know that the first one corresponding to the number 1 means the value proposition. The second one corresponds to the customers. So 7 letters on one line, okay? It's possible to do it in 2-3 minutes, and I will stop the clock that you can see here in 3 minutes. Okay, so good. So open the chat window and then type the 7 letters. We'll see what will be the first one. We have experts in the room, at least 4 or 5. Okay, half of the time, 1 minute 30. So the first one is coming, A, F, G, C, E, B, D. Thank you, Robert. And Magdalena. Nas is coming. Andrea, okay, it's coming. 4 of you. It's good, good. I have G, C, B, D. Monica.
Listen to you.
They listen and they work. They are working, that's fine.
But we
1
understand.
minute for the last one. It's good, good, good. And there is a convergence between the solutions suggested. So I guess we are going in the right direction. Okay, 15 of you out of 53. So maybe some of you are coming, still thinking, still. Okay, thanks. Okay, so software as a service is what the value proposition they offer to their customer. The customers are in fact small and medium small and medium financial institution means, in a way, some competitors of Ping An, but smaller. And the way of reaching those customers is purely online, okay, with web and web app and app. The customer relationship is specific. It's a long term. Why? And with very high switching costs. And you know, when you adopt SAP as an ERP, you know that you will keep it after the subscription period, because it's much more easier to renew it than just to change everything and change every year your software. That's the reason why here they have a recurring revenue, the subscription-based fee, and maybe some additional one, fees coming from the customization of service for some customer and so on. We didn't have here. The main activity is develop the IT platform. There are some other activities such as acquiring customers, customizing solution, and the costs are related to those one, mainly developing the platform development cost, but also client acquisition. And they could have maybe some sophisticated, specialized, highly specialized fintech companies to helping them where they can outsource solution and so on. So this is roughly the business model of OneConnect. What they have done. It was the first idea that Jessica Tan had 6 years and a half ago. And so they explored it, they tested, and they decided to reduce the risk and to persevere, to test more. They have been able to reduce the risk here and to say, okay, this business model seems to be good. We can decide to launch it and to transfer in the execution. And in 3 years, they got more than 3,000 customers. 600 banks and 70 insurers. Okay. They start again with another called Good Doctor. It's a e-health, a business model active in e-health. And after 5 years, they got roughly 300 patients and 15,000 doctors. Okay. So they also tested 2 business models in used cars, real estate. They were not able to reduce the risk. So they decided to kill those projects, to retire those business ideas, if you want. They also acquired companies, as we have seen, for example, with previous one in the video. And with this business model and this growth engine, you can see here the progression of their gross profit, but also they were Ping An has been ranked 400 in 2008, and now they are 21st. They were ranked 21st in 2022 in the Fortune 500. So huge progression, mainly explained by the different business they have created here before to launch those businesses in their portfolio. And here you have a quote by Jessica Tan. Risk-taking is strongly encouraged and failure isn't stigmatized. They kill some project in real estate, in automobile and so on. That's normal in innovation. And so here we will have a short exercise, 5 seconds. Take a pen and paper. Ready? Second, please turn on your video, because I will ask you to show your drawing to everybody in front of the camera. Are you ready? You have your pen in your hand? Good. Okay, so I'm asking you in 5 seconds to draw a small house. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, stop. And now I'm asking you to show in front of the camera, okay, here, your house, this way. Okay, thank you, thank you. Thanks, thanks, thanks. And now the question is, why do most of you come with exactly the same thing? Roughly a square and a triangle. It's a Swiss chalet. But you don't live in a Swiss chalet. There are different kinds of houses. Innovation is not doing exactly what your competitors, your neighbors do. So it means that you need to come with something original, to design a solution where it's possible to create maybe an advantage that you can keep for a couple of months or weeks or years. Okay, that's the reason why here the former dean of the Ronman Business School say, business people need to become designers. Okay, so the second topic for today is so business idea to results to companies, and to this idea to design and test. So the first technique we developed with Alex was some techniques inspired by design thinking. So ideation, brainstorming, democracy, selection of ideas. Then you can prototype, and the canvases are a way of visualizing your prototypes. And you have some techniques for prototyping business model. And then when you have one, you can assess it with some kind of rules, criterion, and so on. And then you have a nice business model that you design inside your company. But keep in mind, a business model might look great, but let me give you a short example. This company, most of the finance people consider that it was a very good business model. The idea was to put those boxes inside some shopping mall, and inside you have an artificial intelligence doctor in this box with very sophisticated diagnosis, treatment, and so on. They launched in 2023. They stop in 24. No customers, enough at least to continue. They burned more than 300 millions. They lost them. Okay, there are some other companies with big failures in the United States. So the question here, and I will ask Moria to launch the second one, is how many early stage ventures do VCs need to invest in? For example, 500,000. Statistic get at least one good success, maybe 50 times what you have invested in. Okay. 100 for most of you. Okay, Moria, you can maybe show the results. Okay, you can see it. Okay, it's roughly this one. So it means most of you, it's 100 project, 50, and some of you 250. Let me show you. Oops. Okay, let me show you the statistics. It's a statistic done in the United States, in the VC community with all the VCs, venture capitalists, between 2004 and 2018. You can see that 6 out of 10 investment lose money. Okay, so you can see less than what they have invested in. 3 out of 10 make some money, so 5 times more, 10 times more, 20 times more. And you have to wait 4 out of 1,000, 1 out of 250, to have a very good success more than 50 times. So it means that for professionals in finance, they were not able, or they cannot pick the winners without investing in the loser. They manage a portfolio, and they know that 6 out of 10 lose money and 3 out of 10 makes money, and maybe 4 out of 1,000 is a very good success. Okay. The second statistic show you here. Why do business fail? Those 6 out of 10. There is a statistic called post-mortems for startups having failed. Okay, 35% build something nobody wants. You spend effort, you have money and so on, but no customers. That's the reason why here, the father of the lean startups and the customer development said, there is a fine line between vision and hallucination.
Smart as you are, on day one, all you have is a faith-based enterprise. It's a religious organization because you're betting on your vision and you see things others don't. But we now know over history, about 95% of the time, you don't have a vision, you're actually hallucinating. So is it possible to kind of eliminate that waste of time and energy to find out only later that you were wrong? And so what we propose is you take your hypotheses, you actually break down your vision into this business model canvas, and now get it out of the building in a fairly formal way, using something we call the customer development process to test every one of those hypotheses. And what we'll find is, you know what, as smart as we were, we're not smarter than the collective intelligence of our customers.
Okay,
Well,
so that's the idea. So we developed some techniques inspired by lean startups, mean selecting hypotheses, ranking those hypotheses for testing, desirability, feasibility, viability, and so on. Then you can experiment, you can launch some tests, okay? And we developed 42 techniques with David Bland for testing business ideas. And then after the testing activity, you can learn something. And based on those learning inside the evidences you have collected, you can decide. Decide what? First, you need to understand that the decision is based not on intuition, not based on experience, but on evidences. And it means persevere, and you will test more. Pivot means that you have to come back on this design testing, and it's a back and forth between designing, testing, and so on. And then you can say, okay, I will launch, transfer in the execution or exploitation portfolio, or stop, kill project, retire the project. So the idea of this game is for reducing uncertainty. At the beginning of an innovation project, uncertainty is very high. We have only good ideas. And then using those testing techniques, you reduce the risk. The second idea, you put some small amount of money at the beginning when the risk is very high. And then when you have reduced the risk, you can put more money for creating minimum viable product, proof of concept, and so on, before to launch. Okay, so here it's...
Another really important question all of you will face. How much money to raise? Not a question you ask, but it's a really critical question. The more money you raise, the more people you hire, and the more you start executing on your initial plan, as opposed to saying, this is my first guess, and every 2 or 3 months, I'm going to change my plan, and I'm not going to start executing, I'm going to start discovering my plan. Much easier to do when you have small amounts of money, not a high burn rate, not a lot of risk. And so I generally say people who raise more money reduce their probability of success.
Okay,
because of this.
So it's a good lesson for us. So the expert portfolio is managed with those techniques: business design, prototyping, and so on, testing, design. Why? Because with the business design, you try to create good business model with a good expected return when you will launch this business model. And with testing, you try to reduce the risk. And I will try to illustrate it with Bosch. Bosch is a German company in mobility, industrial technology, consumer goods, and so on. So they have an exploit portfolio with mobility solution, consumer goods, energy, and industrial. They have acquired a lot of company in the last couple of years for improving, reinforcing those business models, existing business models. But they have also decided to put 8% for research and development, and also in business research and development. And they created this Bosch Accelerator program under the direction of Uwe. And Uwe will tell you something. But before that, you have to know that they have decided to adopt the technique that I briefly visited, design testing, and so on.
Hi there, my name is Uwe Kirschner. I'm from Bosch Management Consulting. I'm partner for Business Model Innovation, and it's a pleasure to be the Invincible company.
We consider it was a nice company. So the question here, and Moria will launch it, let me explain the question.
The question to you. In order to reach that number of 19 innovation projects successfully exiting our Bosch Accelerator program, how many projects entered the validation phase? 19 innovation projects, 43, 108, 240, or even
900.
926.
Okay, thank you. Please vote. Okay. 900 for the first voter. Okay, 900, 200. Okay, maybe you can show the result. Okay. You can see between 100 and 900. You have to know that for each of those projects, for example, the 900 project, they provide the team with 300,000 euros. So it's a huge investment if you consider 900 in this case. And let know the result.
Yes, you're right. 240.
Okay, I will explain why 200. They have a first selection phase, and roughly each trimester they have accepted between 20 and 30 projects. They give them 3 months and yes, thank you, and more than $120,000 to go further to test mainly desirability of the project. After 3 months, they have a second selection phase. In total, they have selected in 3 years 70 projects. So it means that they have rejected roughly 60% of the project. And they give them 300,000 to test maybe a little bit more feasibility. And so at the third phase, they selected 19 businesses that they decided to launch. So again, 74% failed. So in total, if you observe, it means that less than 10% of the projects were successful. So it means that for good managers, German managers, they were not able to predict, and so they cannot pick the winners without investing in the losers. Same roughly statistic as we have seen for the startup, the VCs world. Last topic for today is if you want to go further and to be able to innovate in your company, maybe you need to develop an innovation culture, which is not easy at all. One of the reasons why is there is an innovation myth in most of the companies that we have observed. Managers most often believe that the challenge in innovation is find the right idea, execute the plan, check the results, avoid failure, predict the future based on the past. Project management. Okay, so this one is good for exploitation. If you have to create the third warehouse, okay, you have done it 2 times, you know to do it. So planning is possible. But for explore, no, their testing is required because we don't know how to select the good ideas among the business ideas we have at the beginning. That's the reason why we need to cultivate, explore, exploit under one roof. Still, we need to have a good exploitation culture which cherishes the management, systematic improvement, growth of existing business. But we need also to have maybe an exploration culture with different objectives, cultivates the creation, the discovery, the validation, acceleration of new ideas that are foreign to your organization, create something new that we have seen in the Explore portfolio. And why? Because we know, we have seen it, that on this side, the traditional management techniques are not appropriate. So we need to have some new innovation practices related to this business design activity and testing activities and how to manage it. And we develop a small tool to be able to describe the innovation culture you want to have inside your company. So first, you need to have a clear idea of the outcomes you desire. You need to have a good idea of the behaviors you would like to observe inside your company. And for achieving this, we need to design the good enablers and remove some blockers to go in this direction. And by enablers, it means formal, informal rules, policies, routines, reward system, rituals. The 2 ones here on the top, it's observation. You can observe, oh, my company is becoming more innovative. And you can only design the enablers, blockers. And when I say design, it's not design like an automobile. It's like design a garden. If you want to have flowers, it's not possible to decide to have flowers. No. You will put good fertilizer, good seed, good water, and you hope in 3 months to have nice flower. Okay, so you design the condition to have the nice result or outcomes you would like to achieve. And we decided to split the different enablers in 3 families: leadership support, good, strong leadership supports to put innovation in your company, organizational design, and innovation practice. So how do you assess your organization? Here are 3 questions. And we shooted this video in the Alex car a couple of months ago.
You only need to look at 3 things: leadership support, organizational design, and your innovation practice. And there are 3 simple metrics to look at. First one, how much time does your CEO spend on innovation? If it's not 20 to 40% of his or her time every week, you won't get innovation. Second one is where innovation lives in the org chart. If it doesn't live at the very top, growth and innovation, and that's not R&D or the CTO, no, a full-time job, growth and innovation that reports to the CEO, that doesn't exist, you won't get innovation. And the third one is innovation practice, which means your ability to constantly explore new ideas, make small investments, let teams start testing ideas, but then rapidly kill those ideas that don't produce evidence, so you can constantly, reallocate capital in those ideas that are really working. So that's how you let winners emerge, by killing the projects that are losing, that are not showing evidence. And making
Okay, so we will visit those 3 ones. First, time spent by leaderships on innovation. Okay, maybe we could have a question to you and try to keep this in mind. How much time does your leadership, CEOs, director, president, spends on business innovation each week? And we will use the chat window. And so you will type what you consider per week, every week, 3 days, 3 hours, half a day. Okay, tell me here or right here what you consider half a day every week for Raquel. Okay, half a day. Only 2 of you, half a day. So it means half a day out of 10 half days on the week, 10%. Okay, it seems that it's, yeah. We will stop here. Other people are sleeping so far. Thank you. Okay, so now I will show you what we have collected during the last 7-8 years with Alex. A lot of survey during masterclass, online, boot camps, and so on. We have observed that 70% spend less than 2 hours. And we have only 7% of the CEOs spending more than 2 or 3 days a week. So the question is it possible to have ambidextrous CEOs good for managing the exploitation portfolio and the exploration portfolio? It seems it's very, very difficult. We have seen some of them. The CEO of Logitech, you know this company for the mice and so on, Bracken Darrell, former CEO of Logitech for at least 10 years, and one of his main office headquarters is here on the campus in Lausanne, spend roughly between 2 and 3 days every week on innovation, mainly in his incubators in the Silicon Valley.
Explain it. Called trees, plants, and seeds.
He has an analogy.
And trees, plants, and seeds was the really, really overly simplistic analogy that virtually any company that's been around for more than 10 years is doing, whether they talk to people in public about it or not. But this was mainly for us internally. So the tree was the big old tree, which was on its way to its deathbed. In my view, it's going to fall over and turn into lumber, was the PC peripherals business. The plants could be new businesses, and the seeds would be things we try to create that might be new businesses one day. It's really that simple. So we took 75% of the resources out of the plant business, which was PC peripherals. We kind of quietly inside the company, people didn't even realize that we moved them over into new things, project by project.
Okay, so the idea is to take some resources from the exploit portfolio and to put that for exploring new business idea. And the job of Bracken Darrell was first to decide to transfer money from here to there and to manage this one, if you want. Because he said, for managing the exploit portfolio, he has a lot of good collaborators in charge of it. Okay, so first, and when we say the strong support by the leadership, it's not only its time, but it's also to give legitimacy to the innovation, and with the good success in the case of Logitech, this Swiss company. Second, the innovation at top of our chart. And here we have seen a lot of companies where the people in charge of innovation depends on the chief operation, chief finance, chief technology, research and development, chief marketing. If the people in charge of innovation depends on operation, finance, technology, marketing, is the best way to kill innovation inside this company, business innovation. So it means that the chief innovation need to depend directly on the chief innovation officer, the chief execution officer, the top, very at top, to have a strong power in the board meeting and so on. We have seen another way of dealing with this issue is to have a co-CEOs of the company, what we call with Alec a chief corporate entrepreneur. Okay, and this people here in charge of the present, this one in charge of the future. And at the beginning, when we suggested this one 5 or maybe 7 years ago with Alex, most of the companies say it will never happen. We need to have one big boss in the company. And since that time, we have seen both big companies such as Ping An, this huge company that I presented before, where Jessica Tan came in this company initially as a chief information officer, then became chief innovation officer, and she became, after a couple of years, co-CEOs of the company. Peter Ma in charge of the traditional insurance business and in charge of the new growth engine we have seen in healthcare, fintech, and so on. Okay, so it's possible for to have this one in big company. We have seen this also in smaller company, Laura Star here with 2 bosses and so on. So it's one of the possibility to deal with this issue. The last criterion that Alex mentioned was the ability to kill innovation projects, since we know that all the projects won't be successful. And maybe to do this in a separate culture space, because in exploitation it's not possible to kill product, or very barely at least. Okay, so we have here a nice example with Best Buy, which is active in consumer electronics. It's a retailer. Under the direction of Hubert Joly, we made the turnover of this company, and you will see what he will tell us.
One of the mistakes I made for a while was I was expecting that the organization that's in charge of running the business would be able to innovate. And here's the scoop. If you're running a $50 billion company, 100,000 people, there's a promotion every month. There's no capacity. So a breakthrough moment is when we established the Strategic Growth Office. About 50 people, led by Corey Barry, who later on became my successor. So really staffed with top-notch people. 100% dedicated to identifying which opportunities, prototyping, piloting, testing, and then looking at scaling. Okay, so it's a good idea for us. So it means that we need to develop those new innovation practice, maybe not for the full company, but at least inside the lab, the center in charge of innovation. And so based on those we develop both on those 3 main questions, 3 criterion, 9 questions for a self-assessment to detect if your company is ready to innovate. Okay, so the last exercise is based on this one that you can download it. Okay, here if you have your camera, you can maybe take the shoot of this one and to download the what we call the innovation culture readiness. Thank you. And so using this one, okay, so you can say, are your organization ready for innovation? But it's a homework because it's not possible to do it in 2 minutes. Okay, I'm inviting you to do it at home. So what we have seen briefly is this idea of dual mindset with explore, exploit. From business idea to results with this idea of designing, testing, and using some visual tools such as the canvases. And I briefly presented this idea of culture or to develop an innovation culture and some criteria that I briefly visited. But it's also, I tried to show you that it's possible to have good tools adapted those tasks. The first one was the portfolio map for visualizing the exploit business model. The second one was the business model canvas and maybe the value proposition canvas. The last one, the culture map. Okay, so thank you. But before to give the floor to Moria or Vincent, I will finish with something. It's a thank you for to Vincent who took this initiative to invited me because I didn't know KPGN.
KMGN, yes, KM Global Network.
I will just mention something briefly. Prediction is very difficult, especially if it's about the future. It's a joke by this Nobel Prize. And one of the issues for most of the companies is trying to anticipate or to predict the future. And they have different techniques, scenario planning, experience, and so on. But we know that for exploration portfolio, for the innovation inside a company, even good finance people, good managers were not able to pick the winners without investing in the losers. And even if we know it, and if we observe this kind of thing, there are still some people, coaches, consultants, managers, executives, top executives say, I know where the future is going. It's a friend.
Vous êtes voyant, n'est-ce pas? Exactement. Je prévois l'avenir.
Okay. Did you plan this one? Okay. No need for lengthy debates to demystify charlatans. Okay. Thank you very much for you. And so
Thank you so much. I use the Business Canvas, but it is a great honor to meet you in person.
Thank you, Marie.
I learned several tips and best practices on how to do it. I have to consider adding another CEO to the company. And of course, I have to learn better how to kill my ideas because I'm in love with them too many times.
Sure. I agree with you. It's a big danger for innovation. It's becoming in love or falling in love with your first idea. It's so complicated to convince entrepreneurs or innovators that they could maybe consider several ones before choosing, because when you have one good idea, it's the best one. When you have maybe 10 in front of you, you can compare, you can consider that some of them have some advantage. And good comment. Thank you, Moria.
So thank you very much again. And everyone, thank you for joining us. Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are. And next week, we will have Dave Snowden with us. So please stay tuned and join us again.
Merci.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Have
a good afternoon, morning, and week. Thank you, Vincent.
Merci.